Hi, I'm Chad Amble with Amblewood Company, and today we're going to talk about the GRAD system. Specifically today, we're going to talk about our starter rail. So starter rail is a 3/4 inch extruded aluminum rail with a PVC clip. It can be utilized in basically any flat surface, whether it's a deck, a siding, or a soffit. The rails themselves come in various different orientations of the clips. So this rail specifically is for 6-inch siding material. When you get a rail, the clip is affixed at the factory. It is not an adjustable thing. There are some videos that show it being moved around, but that's not the way it works. These are fixed at the factory so that when you do the installation, every piece of wood is fitting exactly where it's supposed to be to give you a consistent reveal and a consistent layout. There's no adjusting involved once the actual rail itself is installed on the wall. We're going to install a starter rail. When installing our rail, there's two critically important things. One is that our clips are all lined up, whether we're doing a vertical installation or a horizontal installation. The most important thing is that our clips are all in a line, whether vertical or horizontal, otherwise the wood itself won't snap in. If you ever do an installation of rails and you go to snap the wood on and it won't snap, don't force it. That usually means one of your rails is out of alignment. The next thing we want to do is make sure that our rails are either plumb or level, depending on what your application is. So in this case, we're going to do horizontal siding, so therefore our rails are plumb and going vertical. The installation is with a 3/16 stainless steel self-tapping screw. So in this case, we're going to set our level on top of the actual clip, slide the rail up. I've already marked where the stud is. Beauty. Once you get 2 screws in, it's basically set in place. We want to install a screw approximately every 12 inches before moving on to the next rail. So we've found to help ease installation, if you pre-drill one hole in the rail and use that as your starter screw to get the thing lined up, after that you can then make sure you're plumb. Obviously you don't want to put it in unless your clips are all lined up. I've used a level here today. The best way to do this is with a laser level. It will get you plumb and square and make all the installation a lot easier and faster. So now that we've got our rails installed, it's time to install the siding. It's grooved for the GRAD. So as you can see, 2 grooves, which will line up with the 2 clips. Once you install this, you really can't move it back and forth very easily, if at all. So it's very important that you try and line up where you want the end to be to start. In this case, it's not so important, but we give it a pop. Your board's installed. It does not come off. That's why I said it's very important that you get these things lined up to start with. We grab the next piece. Same thing. We get it lined up with our clips. All right, so as you can see, we did that in slow-mo so you guys can get a chance to see what was happening, but in real time, we did a 4-foot by 5-foot section of wall. We installed that thing and it was probably less than a minute. One of the things to note and what's most important here and what is the most important part of this system is every one of the reveals is exactly the same. I didn't have to pull out a tape measure. I didn't have to check to make sure the board continued to stay level or plumb. The rail system did it itself. The only thing I need to be careful of is that my corner was lined up to where I need it to be. If I did need to adjust it, I could take a rubber mallet and tap it. The longer the boards are that you install, the harder that's going to be because you're creating tension with the clips. They're off just slightly. They're not exactly perfect, so that creates tension, will hold the board in place. Again, they don't come off. They're fixed in place. We will show you on another video how to take off a board. If you do damage one, it's real easy to cut the board, remove it, put new clips in, and slide a new piece back into place. So now that we're finished the installation, this is our Cascade Collection Thermo Nordic Pine material, unfinished. If you want to know about the different colors, textures, and profiles for the Cascade Collection, You can find that on amblewoodco.com. Questions we get asked is, I like 6-inch, but does it come in different sizes? It sure does. We can do it in 4-inch, you can do it 8-inch. And again, we'll talk about shiplap is your standard pattern, but the texture that you have can be changed. If you want a groove texture, or a comb texture, or a fluted texture, or something unique, that's all doable with the GRAD system because it still is applied the same way. This particular installation was with our starter rail. One thing to keep in mind when you're designing your installation is that the starter rail adds 3/4 of an inch to your overall siding, plus the thickness of the siding. For use with GRAD, it can't be thinner than 3/4 of an inch. So if you're using the starter rail, that means you have to account for 1.5 inches worth of siding that's going to go onto the building. We have a thinner option in the mini rail, which we'll talk about in another video, but for the starter rail, 3/4 of an inch for the rail, 3/4 of an inch minimum for the siding. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next install.